completed my schooling from Panipat, Haryana. After that, I did pass the entrance exam in University of Allahabad and completed my graduation in Bachelor's of Commerce in November 2020. But after graduation, I don't know what to do and how to get the job, as the entire globe was facing COVID-20 and its severe consequences. As the toughest phase, we were worried about our future. That time, TCS YP program came into my life as a glimmer of hope for me. The TCS YP program completely conducted on digital mode, due to which I was able to complete the training successfully. During the training phase, I also did some certification courses via LinkedIn Learning or TCS ION, which includes email writing skills, effective communication skills, presentation skills. I also learned skills from my trainer, which includes observation skills, team management skills, and active listening skills. That skills helped me to get placed in the TCS in December 2021.
My name is Dhrubnayan Panda, and I want to share my gratitude to TCS CSI Youth Employment Program team for empowering the youth of India. I was also a Youth Employment Program beneficiary, and it was really a transformational and impactful journey for me. I am currently working in an organization in Vision Empower as a state coordinator for West Bengal and also supporting for Northeastern states, where making STEM education accessible for visually impaired child is our goal. My key responsibility areas are event management, team management, and project management. From being a college student to be empowered and gain relevant skill sets to manage a huge responsibility for the society. Yes, YP really contribute a lot for my evolution. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this session on Careers in Manufacturing by TCS CSR Youth Employment Program. I am Devushubra Banerjee, and I will be your host this evening. Please note that this session is being recorded. TCS Youth Employment Program, or YP as we call it, focuses on the biggest challenge of modern India: unemployment among youth. Youth Employment Program is a flagship CSR program of TCS aimed at upskilling youth from marginalized communities across the country, making them industry ready and supporting them with placement opportunities. In this very special evening, we will focus on robust career paths and rapid growth opportunities presented by the fast paced world of manufacturing. To speak on this, we have with us two most distinguished guests with decades of rich experience. It's my honor to present to you Mr. Anupam Singhal, President of Manufacturing Business Group at TCS. Mr. Singhal is a seasoned industry leader with more than 3 decades of experience leading multiple verticals, driving digital transformations, developing business strategies, and fostering agile teams. He is an alumnus of Harvard Business School's AMP program and holds a master's degree in business administration and a bachelor's degree in engineering. Welcome, Mr. Singhal, to the session. We also have
Thank
with
you.
us Mr. Gurudatt Trivedi, the Chief Strategy Officer for the Manufacturing Business Group at TCS. With 25 years of rich experience, Mr. Trivedi has consistently demonstrated his commitment to customer success by developing business strategies that accelerate customer transformation. He holds a bachelor's degree in engineering and is an alumni of Executive Education Program at University of Michigan. I am sure our attendees will immensely benefit from the insights which Mr. Singhal and Mr. Trivedi will share today. To moderate the conversation this evening, we have Ms. Sanu Khan from TCS Corporate Social Responsibility Team. Sanu is a senior manager with 17 plus years of experience. She specializes in driving innovation and strategic initiatives within the education and skilling sector, crafting and executing CSR programs. Welcome, Sanu, to the session. But before moving forward, I would request all the attendees to make the session interactive by asking questions to the chat window. You can always raise your hand so that we can understand you're trying to raise a question. Also, please share your constructive feedback in the post-session survey. Now, let's get the ball rolling. I would request Mr. Singhal to share his thoughts with us. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dave, and good evening, everyone. And my gratitude to each one of you for taking time out to be there with us on this session. Youth employment is the one of the biggest and one of the most important tasks, which I believe each one of us who are working whether in the public services, government, or in the business need to have. Because the power of youth, which is going to be the future of tomorrow. So the future of a country, future of the world is in the hand of each one of you who bring that energy, that passion, that ability to enforce those changes. And I'm so excited to be talking to you because you are the people who are going to write the history of the future of the country which we are in right now. If you look at the manufacturing sector has been the core to any economy. In fact, manufacturing sector is the lead indicator of how good the economy is. If the manufacturing vertical or the industries, they are doing well, they are profitable, the items they produce are being consumed, it means the country's economy is doing very well. And that's where manufacturing becomes the lead indicator on the strength of the economy. Side by side, if you look at the economy, side by side, if you look at the manufacturing is also the flag bearer of many processes, many innovations. If you look at it, before anything came as an industry, manufacturing was the first one. If you look at the India, whether the textile mills, perhaps they were the first industry which were done, then the steel plants, then the power generation plants, all of them have been the first one among the industry to come in, and perhaps later everything else come. Obviously, banking, financial services, they've been always important because for you to manufacture, you need that. But I think that's where they go hand in hand. Manufacturing, if you look at the Six Sigma, if you look at just in time, if you look at the outsourcing, if you look at the automation, anything which you look at it, manufacturing has always been the first industry vertical of its size to pick each one of them to bring that value to its customer. Unlike many other businesses, manufacturing as a business is always hard strung for the making profits. And that's where a lot of innovation also happens. So in my view, manufacturing is a place where you can clearly make the difference in people's lives. You can define and design the new car, which is autonomous, which is safe, which can prompt whether the driver to stop if they see some passerby or some pedestrian coming in front of it, or some bicyclist is coming in front of it. You can make life simpler, life more safer for anybody, whether it's the driver, whether people on the road. You can help build the cyber security for the manufacturing. For example, I'm sure each one of you would be using your mobile phone or your laptops to do commercial transaction. You're buying online, you're banking online. But I'm sure each of the time when you are doing any online transaction, you are very, very careful whether you have a secure connection because you're worried that you don't want to fall in trap of people who can misuse your credentials and do a fraudulent transaction. But how many times, if you're driving a car, you are equally careful, equally worried that whether the car is going to take you in the same direction safely? Is your car secure? Your GPS secure? Because there have been cases where somebody could hack into the car's GPS system and took the complete control of the car, both the direction and the speed. So in the financial transaction, perhaps you may end up losing, but in these cases, you may end up losing lives. Whether it's the motorcycle, whether it's the auto industry you're talking about, whether the aerospace, the plane makers, whether you're talking about an industrial company which made the chemicals, if there is anything which goes bad with the chemical plant or industry, it's going to get a lot of problems. So the cyber security safety is extremely important in this sector. And that's where the opportunity for each one of you to develop those skills. As I said, youth employment is extremely, extremely important. And many times, many of you, most of you could be engineers, you could have done your science, you could have done your commerce. But if you look at it, each one of you is a possible contributor to the manufacturing industry. As I said, they're the largest wealth creator for a country. They're largest job creator for country as compared to any other business vertical. So it offers the maximum opportunities as well. Now, for you to be deployed in this sector, what are the skill set which you need to have? If you've done your mechanical engineering, if you've done your diploma in mechanical engineering, if you've done any course which could be relating to operator of a lathe machine or CNC machine or milling machine or any one of them, each of them is a skill set which is going to be useful, which is going to help you in any one of these job markets. With the Prime Minister of the country bringing a lot of focus on made in India, India is going to be the manufacturing hub. In fact, you may have heard many of the leaders, the political leaders or the prime ministers or the ministers, as well as business leaders talking about China plus one. If you know, most of the world has been dependent on China on the supply chain. And that's where India has a unique opportunity to be the partner wherein India can produce and the world consumes. And that's what our chairman, N. Chandrasekaran, in his book, Digital Nation, he talked about the power of youth, power of innovation, power of artificial intelligence, power of taking each of these innovations to wider markets. In India, you can clearly unleash the potential which could help shape the world. And I think that's the opportunity which each one of you have to pick up those skills, pick up those capabilities, and be a contributor to the economy of the country and world economy. As you would have heard, India is predicted to be world's third largest economy pretty soon. And I'm sure, as you would have guessed, the first largest is the US, second is China, and third, India has a potential, though India still has Japan in between to cross over. If you look at Japan historically, the way Japan has risen in the world through their manufacturing. If you look at the automakers, Toyota, world's largest automaker, there's a Japanese firm, Honda, Nissan. And if you look at the whole heavy industry, Japan took a lead in manufacturing, and that's where their economy became such a stronger economy, despite being a much, much smaller country in many of the world economies. So manufacturing brings that resiliency, manufacturing brings that scale for country to grow. China, obviously, an example, when they become the world's manufacturing hub. Many Western countries, they move their manufacturing to China because they could get food products produced in China at much larger scale at a much lesser cost. So it became extremely important supply chain component in their manufacturing setup. And I think India has a similar opportunity. And as you would have seen or you would have heard, Apple is going to produce a significant amount of iPhone in India. All the manufacturers, whether if you look at the JLR, Jaguar Land Rover, they're going to set up a plant here. If you look at the Tata Group, we are setting up the Tata Electronics. We're going to manufacture the chips here. We will have a complete fabrication unit in India. Tata Group is investing significantly in the battery manufacturing. We are making the steel with one of the largest steel manufacturing in the world. And if you look at the other, if you look at the Reliance, they are doing a lot of work in the petroleum industry. If you look at the government is spending significantly on the infrastructure, whether the road, construction of road, construction of bridges. If you look at it in Bombay, if you are, the Atal Setu is clearly an engineering marvel, and we are so proud, Tata Group is so proud to be part of it. If you look at TCS in the manufacturing, we support Tata Motors, we support JLR, we support many other manufacturing companies in India providing talent. And the TCS talent, which is more on the consulting side of it, is on the IT, wherein we support some of the world's largest ERP implementation, whether it could be Oracle, SAP. We provide complete IT services management, which could be on ServiceNow. We do complete digital, which could be your UI, UX, it could be your B2B applications, B2C applications, mobile applications, the telecom infrastructure, the IT infrastructure, or the business process support for each one of these. In the business process and manufacturing, it could be supply chain, it could be your collection, it could be your amount payables, it could be billing, it could be general ledgers, all those activities which TCS does, apart from doing the supply chain, wherein we assist some of the manufacturers to source items or manage their vendors as well. So if you look at the TCS, multiple streams where we can have manufacturing. If you look at the growth of manufacturing business in TCS, if you look at the last quarter, when we projected number, it was one of the topmost vertical within TCS to grow amid some very, very tough economic environment. So, friends, I believe it's a great opportunity for you looking at the whole focus of our Prime Minister on making India as hub of manufacturing. Our chairman talking about digital nation, wherein we have the opportunity to bring the best of the country, connecting the country, of setting up the digital infrastructure, making each one of us, 1.4 billion people, contribute to the growth of the country. Our CEO, Krithivasan, is talking about the TCS. He's leading the TCS to support some of the largest infrastructure project which is happening from the country. If you look at the stock exchanges, if you look at the election commission, if you look at the Indian postal system, if you look at the many of the public sector enterprises, TCS supporting it. So whether it's the world leaders, whether it's the country's leader, whether our chairman, whether TCS CEO, each one of them is talking significantly on the employment generation. And I think that is something, an opportunity for each one of you. But think, how do you skill yourself? How do you make your skill set saleable, deployable? I come from a very small town. I grew up in a town which was roughly about 80,000 population. And it was in UP and it was 35, almost 40 years back when I was growing up. Not too many facilities which is there. So how do you make sure that you are able to get into a school or college? How do you make sure you make yourself deployable? How you make sure you take that hunger, that passion for you to grow? Because it's your opportunity, it's your time to take bull by its horn. Don't wait for opportunity to come to you. Be persistent, bring your energy, bring your passion, bring your hunger to perform. And I believe all these qualitative parameters, your confidence in yourself, your ability to not accept no for an answer, your ability to learn new skills, your ability to consider not any job as a low-end job. Unfortunately, in India, many times each one of us has a perception what is a high-end job, what is a low-end job. In the Western world, every job is as important as perhaps the president of the country, president of US, because they take pride in the job they do. They take the pride in the work they do. And there's nothing called a small job or big job or low-end job or high-end job. Every job is a job. And people pick up a job which they can be deployed, which can do it well, and they keep enhancing their capability and they keep on going up the chain up to the level of the CEO of the company. So thank you once again for the opportunity for me talking to each one of you. And my gratitude to my colleagues, TCS CEO Krithivasan for driving this program, and Dev, Sanu, and Srishti for running this youth employment program, because I very strongly believe what you guys are doing to support youth is going to clearly create tremendous amount of opportunity for them, and you're becoming a growth indicator for India's economy. Thank you once again, and back to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Singhal, for your insightful thoughts and for the optimistic note which you have presented in your speech. So it is excellent to know that in manufacturing sector we have such opportunities for the youth, and your term that India produces and the world consumes actually fills us with inspiration. And also it's great to know that in this manufacturing sector we have a youth who are brimming with potential and can leverage these opportunities to grow themselves, to shape their career. So excellent thoughts, and thank you for sharing with us, sir. Thank you very much. So before we go ahead, I would request all the attendees to make this session interactive, and at the end of this conversation we are going to have a Q&A session where we will take the questions. So you can put the questions in the chat window so that we can pick it up when the time comes. So for now, we are going to have another engaging conversation in front of us. I would request our moderator for the evening, Ms. Sanu Khan, and our honorable guest, Mr. Gurudatt Trivedi, to take the conversation forward. Over to you, Sanu.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Deb. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Future Forward conversation with Mr. Gurudatt Trivedi. Sir, we are really excited to have you here, and our audience is eager to listen to you, learn from you, from your extensive experience.
Thank you.
To begin with, actually, I would like to start this conversation with your journey from your campus life to corporate so far, with some memorable learnings, takeaways, lessons that you still carry with you that could benefit our young audience. Could you please take us through that journey? That would be wonderful to start this conversation.
Sure. Thank you so much, Sana. Thank you, Srishti Devashri. And first of all, thank you so much for inviting me to this. It's a very, very tough act to follow after Anupam, because he inspires us, on an ongoing basis over the number of years, and the perspective he brings. I don't think I'll be able to add a lot of things to what he said, but what I'll try to do is I'll try to put that in perspective in my personal experience, that how some of those things, I could see realize in my career and how it could help. To start with, I'll just draw on what Anupam mentioned. I also come from a very small town. It probably in maybe it's not even in top 50 cities of India, a town in Gujarat, and I studied there. I studied in a vernacular medium, and as I went through, the first challenge I had was, when I moved from my school to college, which was the change of medium of instruction, and also the kind of competition that it brings, because it would have people from all over the country who would have had other opportunities, or if I can use the word privileges, to be aware of the world, to be more informed about the world than a person who would not have those information resources at their disposal. In today's world and age, anybody and everybody, any corner of the globe, you have the access to the same information, with your devices, with your computers, with your phones, and so on. But earlier, you look back about 25, 30 years ago, the information sources were not as uniform, and also limited by the reach. So that was the first thing. But like Anupam was mentioning, what is important is that what is your hunger, what are you striving for? And if you think that you have to pursue something, any limitations or obstacles, you should take that just as an opportunity or a challenge, and try to see what more you can do. And that's how it started. After that, after my graduation, I was fortunate to get a job in TCS. And my educational background is also, I have done my engineering in production engineering, which is an offshoot of mechanical engineering, which is very, very close to, which is more focused on the core production and manufacturing on the shop floor. And when I joined TCS, I wasn't sure that, my educational background, which is of core production engineering, how that would translate into IT services or consulting. And the first day when I had a little bit of prior experience before joining TCS on some of the Java technologies. So I thought, okay, I will go, I'll join and I'll work on the projects that are relevant to what technologies that I have worked on. And then, let's go from there. First day, the moment I joined the project, I have been told that, the technology that you were recruited for, yes, that is there, but there is another project which is very challenging, and there is a technology which is very obsolete, which we don't have a lot of people who knows that. And I would be, even a fresher or a person with 5 year experience will have the same level of start, because that technology has to be learned. There is no skill available. And that was the first learning, that you have to be ready to take on whatever new does not have any relation to what your background of education is or what your background of experience is. And you have to have an open mind, how to embrace, how to learn, and how to do the best you can to get the results that you are expected of. And that was the first experience of how you would do something that is completely out of the out of the left field, if I can use an American reference, out of the blue. So that was very interesting. It helped me learn a lot of things. It helped me learn how to go through adversity in a new corporate environment. Also, another cultural challenge that I had was because of the uh, the back. I wouldn't use the word background, but when you are in a metro, in a corporate environment where you have not worked something, only you have seen the corporate environment only in movies or TV shows and so on. And when you are actually working, how do you adjust yourself, your interpersonal relationships, your communications, that are very important. And those things, I learned a lot of coaches along the way. Anupam has been a mentor and a coach for a number of years. There are so many colleagues that I see on the chat window or the attendees, Bhavna, Astha, Rohan, a lot of people we work with. And one of the things that helped me over the last 25 years or whatever number of years that I've been working is that there is always something for us to learn from everybody, whether the person is a peer, is your supervisor, or your seniors or your juniors. There is always something to learn. And how do you build upon the strength that you have and continue to work on the weaknesses that you have that will continue to propel you forward? So that is something that I would see that has helped me. After the projects, I was interested in managing projects, managing customer accounts. So I moved through the roles. And one of the things that I always followed was I did not say no ever to any role that was offered to me. I was always open that if I were asked to go to a certain locations, I would be open to that. If I were asked to do a role in development, do a role in project management, do a role in sales, delivery, operations, anything, I'm always open because I always see that as an opportunity for me to develop my persona as well as propel my career forward. So that is something that I would sincerely request everyone is that always keep an open mind. What is important is that you love what you do. See, you would be lucky to have to do something that you love, but what is in your hand to is love what you do. And whenever you get to do something, just make sure that you are giving your full passion, attention, and your might, so that you are at the end of the day you are satisfied that you have done the best that you could. There is nothing else that you could do. So in a nutshell, if I would say that that keeping an open mind, not saying no to anything that comes across your way, look at that as an opportunity. Yes, there are always things which are glamorous and they are not glamorous, but always remember that every small nut bolt also has a part to play in a machine. And what is important is that whether the nut bolt is doing the job that the nut bolt is doing or not. So which is what I would say, a long-winded answer to your question, but that's how I would put it.
Thank you so much. That was really an insightful answer. Like starting from a small town in Gujarat to where you are right now. I just loved what you said. There is always something to learn from each and everyone, irrespective of their hierarchy or seniority. That's really a profound statement that you gave. And from this first question itself, I'm sure that our young graduates must have gained a lot of insights. Moving to manufacturing, which is your domain. See, from Mr. Singhal's address also, it's very obvious that manufacturing sector is definitely a vital part of the economy. So obviously, it offers numerous career paths. It would be great if you could shed some light on the opportunities for young graduates in this sector. What kind of growth and learning can a fresher expect from manufacturing domain?
So it's very, very exciting because if I look at my career, I studied something that is related to manufacturing. Then I went on to work on projects that were in financial services. Then I went on to some of the customer relationships which were on market research, media, and then again spent some time in banking and financial services. And again now I'm back in manufacturing. And when I look at all these different industries that I have had opportunity to work in, and when I look at it, it's manufacturing is the most fundamental industry which helps all the other industries. So, and then I was reading a few years ago that manufacturing creates the what do you call the material, the resources, and the products that is consumed by human capital, and then the human capital uses that to advance the thought process that that again feeds back into the advancement of manufacturing. So there is a whole cycle of how the material and the manufacturing feeds into human capital capabilities, and then how it feeds it back. But when you look at any economy and look at the indicator of economy is gross domestic product. When you say product, it's actually production of goods and services, and it could be either it could be automobiles, it could be any packaging, or it could be any food, or it could be any crops, anything. When you say production, it's all manufacturing. And the other way to look at it is that the population is always going to grow, or there's always going to be an advancement. There's always going to be a requirement of material. Yes, the type of material might change, the type of product might change, but the product will be needed, right? Today I may be using a bullock cart, I may be using a car, then I may be using an EV, but there has to be some material that is required. So yes, within manufacturing there could be a change, but the production is required for the to cater to the population. So one is there is a constant demand. There is another article that I was reading, and that was about 5-6 years ago, that there is going to be, and this is very specific to North America, but it also relates to Europe and Japan, where there was an aging workforce in manufacturing companies. The areas that had seen the manufacturing advent or the progress in the earliest 20th century, all the people who are working there are nearing the retirement age. And what is happening is that there are not enough skilled workers or executives who could take up their roles in the manufacturing industry. And that number was about what I read was that about 2028 or 2029, there's going to be 2.5 to 3 million workers who will be retiring, and there won't be enough jobs to replace them. So there are two parts here. One is whether there is enough workforce, and whether there is enough workforce that is skilled enough to take over those roles, which are highly experienced, highly innovative, highly thinking, highly managing roles. And when I look at all this, there is tremendous opportunity that manufacturing sector has globally, where the Western world is trying to bring the jobs back after some part of outsourcing on manufacturing. Plus the economies like India, China, Brazil, who are also coming up very fast because their consumption is going, and they have the principle of making versus buying from other developed countries. So all in all, if I look at it, it's a very, very big opportunity. Now, how that changes versus how it was 20, 30, 40 years ago is that the level of technology that is at hand. So earlier, for example, is a boiler engineer would have to go inside the boiler and troubleshoot, and it would also lead to risk, physical risk for their well-being. What is happening today is that you have technology and tools that you don't have to go inside the boiler. What you have to do is using those tools, use your knowledge of what is going to be happening and fixing it instead of just going in physically there. Or look at the car testing. The amount of destructive testing has reduced is significant because of the technology, because you can simulate a lot of crashes, you can simulate a lot of comfort factors. So what is happening is that the onus is more on understanding and utilizing the capability of understanding manufacturing concepts versus just going physically and doing the hard work. So that the engineers can focus more on solving the problems rather than just trying to put the logistic around how to test the problem. So those are some of the nuances that is also creating a lot of opportunities for people, that let's say if I have certain capabilities, but I may have certain limitations because of which I cannot use that capability to do certain tasks, and that is nullified by advent of technologies. Like I may have a weaker eyesight, which probably 50 years ago there was no solution, but now there are other solutions that you can, that is not limiting you to use your engineering knowledge in terms of putting that into manufacturing industry. So those some of things if I can see, there is huge potential. It's always going to grow. And like I said, there is no limit to somebody who's striving to make it big.
Okay, thank you. So I'm taking two facts that you said, like there's a huge demand for the workforce in the coming years, plus huge demand for skilled workforce. So that leads me to the next question. So how can our young graduates be prepared? Because if they want to get into the job market, definitely it's very important for them to be best prepared. So, in terms of preparation, any kind of skill set attributes or certifications, what are the kind of qualifications that they can focus in the coming years so that they can capture the huge demand that is on its way?
Great question, Sana, and it also a little bit difficult question. But the way I would say is, uh, when you look at the kind of opportunities that we have today, or number of, or the types of career paths that we have today, is tremendous. Because if I look at 25 years ago or 30 years ago, if I were a mechanical engineer, the only things that I could do is I could go into companies like L&T or Tata Motors, or for the core engineering companies that are manufacturing something. When I look at today, it is not that. It is also the companies that are trying to build supply chain solutions, or they are trying to develop softwares that are for safety for smart workers, or uh, I could look at jobs that helps into analytics of operations research of an inventory. So there are so many things which are adjacent to manufacturing, but may not be like a shop floor operations, which is what the only career opportunity that I could see a few years ago. Now, coming to what is required to be done, or what one should do. One that is important, very, very important thing to note is that do not go by glamour, in the sense that if five people are doing something, you don't have to do that. First of all, understand that what is it, what is that that drives you, what is your passion, what would you like to do, and then try to find something that what is happening in that industry, and try to see that how that industry is going to change in future. Always prepare for what's going to be in future versus what is required now. Because let's say, again, when I'm talking about 1999, 2000, 2001, where there was a big craze on ERP, and everybody was learning Oracle or SAP and supply chain, because that is what everybody would do, because that was what the market was. But then if I'm really not interested in terms of the resource planning or supply chain or sales and distribution or any of those things, absolutely, I mean, I will learn it, but I will not feel excited about doing something. So what is it? First of all, find your niche as to what is it that you really, really love to do. Because like I said, it is very important that for you to be successful, you have to love what you do. And yes, it is very easy to say that you love what you do, but day in and day out doing the same thing number of years, it really, you have to be really, really persistent about it. So let's look at the automobile industry. And if you look at how the industry is moving towards non-traditional fuel, whether it's either completely EV or hybrid, or there could be hydrogen fueled cars or automobiles also coming in. What are the changes that this industry going to go through, and what are the things that are related to that I could learn? Like, are there things that in the development, if you're really interested, then in the development of hydrogen fuel related engines, or hybrid engines, or that the software defined vehicle testing mechanisms, or there are so many sensors that the car has, right? And it captures so much of data, and the data has to be analyzed. Now, how do you analyze the data? Are you analyzing it for the comfort of the driver, or are you analyzing it for the safety of the driver, or are you analyzing it for the telematics of the automobile? All those are different fields. When you look at it, it's about sensors on the car, but what is going behind and how those sensors are used, are there tenfolds of uses, right? So find what really, really drives you. If you're really data savvy, you're analytics savvy, I would say that you go something in analytics. If you're really algorithm savvy, look at something, how you can use generative AI in terms of generating synthetic data and trying to reduce the product launch cycle by simulating different conditions. Or if you're really interested in marketing and sales, try to learn on something that, how do you study the market for new product launches. So my in a nutshell is, you have to find what your niche is. You have to find what really propels you, and there are tons of opportunities for you to pursue that. There are so many ways to do things. There are also you do certain certification and studies, but then you can translate that learning onto something that you land up a job in. So I would say certifications and all that can help to some extent, but what is important is that you really find that what you would want to do. And luckily, in today's world, there are plethora of opportunities in each of the areas that people could have passion in, unlike 20 years ago.
Okay, thank you. That's wonderful to know. A plethora of opportunities available in manufacturing domain. I think I can see a lot of questions coming from our participants. I think this is the right juncture to give them opportunities also to ask questions. Dave, would you like to take some questions from our YP participants?
Yeah, definitely. One question that has come up from multiple people is regarding the opportunity that freshers can have in manufacturing. So I'll combine a number of questions asked um, by Boddu, by Shubhasri, and by Ramanji, and combine them into one single question. That is, if we consider in context of manufacturing domain, are the hiring managers looking at more at freshers or at experienced professionals who have the bigger job market, and why?
Can you repeat the question, Devasubra? I
Yes, of
didn't
course, of course.
understand it. Yeah.
So, my question is that, see, given the current job openings in manufacturing domain, so what kind of opportunities do freshers have? So, is it the case that experienced professionals are getting more opportunities, or there is a large share in the job market for freshers as well?
Okay. So, great question, Devasubra. And see, there are opportunities at all the levels. Yes, like I was mentioning about the retiring workforce, right? There are jobs for experienced professionals, but experienced professionals also have to start somewhere, right? You will not become a 10-year experienced person just coming out of college. At the same time, there are opportunities at all the levels. Like, see, but for example, if you look at if I really want to only work in the top 5 automobile companies, then the opportunities will be only within, you are looking at only something five those 5 companies, right? But then when you look at automobile sector, there are so many companies that are supplying materials to automobiles, or that go into some part of the automobiles. That could be like the harnesses of the car, the seats, the chassis, the automotive electronics, and so on. So there are like, what is it that we are seeing as the population, right? So everywhere, like I was saying, that workforce is going to go retire, but the person has to start somewhere. You will not become a general manager of a plant just overnight. You have to work through it. There is absolutely no uh, what you can no alternative to hard work and grind. So yes, we have. If I'm a fresher, I have to start somewhere, and after 5 years, 10 years, there could be a comparison. This person is a 5-year experience, this person is a 2-year experience, and that there could be a comparison. Because if you look at it, if I am out of college and I have whatever I have learned is only in through the books, even if I am going to go into a role that requires a 5-year experience, I am setting myself for failure, right? I have to go through the grind. Yes, I did not have the same view that I am talking about now. 25 years ago, I had also had the same view that I am as good as anybody, like with a 10 years experience. But there is a learning curve. There is the element of a field, which we used to call in college. He's from the field, meaning he's from the industry and not from the academics. So there is an element of working in the field that prepares you for the later executive roles, and that can only come from some level of experience. You have to get your hands dirty. Yes. Now, let's say if I'm an engineer versus if there is somebody who's a management graduate after 4 years of college and 3 years of or 2 years of post grad, they may have an opportunity at other level. They will also an entry level. There could be a difference because of the studies. But as you go forward in your career, that gap is offset by the experience that you put in versus the hard work you put in and versus the knowledge you gain. But yes, as an entry level engineer or entry level graduate, you have to start somewhere, and that start has to be, you have to be willing to look at whatever start that you get. It's like, if I keep looking for the right apple, I will never have an apple. I may go hungry at the end of the day. I have to look at, okay, this is the apple. Maybe there's some portion is not to my liking. I'll just omit that, right? But you have to start somewhere. And starting today and working through that will get you even further than waiting and not starting at all. So there are opportunities, and we have to take the opportunity that comes your way. Anupam also mentioned that don't wait for things to happen. You have to create, you have to make it happen, you have to push it, you have to create the opportunity and grab it, right? It's like you cannot wait for 50th over for 50 runs, right? You have to keep taking singles. Taking singles is better than waiting 10 overs for a six. At least you will get 10 into 60 balls, at least 50 runs you'll get instead of getting zero. So I would say just do not worry about what is big, small. Look at the opportunity and get it. And there are tremendous amount of opportunities out there in different industries, different cities. Yes, you would be willing to relocate. You should be willing to say, okay, I have to commute for 45 minutes. I want something next door. I want something in my city. I want to come home. All those things. See, again, what is I'm saying there is nothing wrong in it. But what is the priority that you have? Is my priority to advance my career today? Or is my priority today to, not leave my city and town? There are challenges. People have different challenges, and so we have to put all those things and see that where is in that Venn diagram of all those priorities, what is it that is there at the intersection, and then go for it rather than waiting for something to land at the perfect spot. That's what I would say, Deva.
Very detailed and comprehensive answer, sir. Thank you very much. So, building on the answer that you gave us, so I have another question a bit on the controversial side. So, this is asked by Vavesh. So, Vavesh feels that you mentioned that there's a huge demand in manufacturing, but he feels, according to him, that it is manufacturing is not the primary choice among job seekers. Do you agree to this based on your experience?
Absolutely. It's not glamorous, right? So yes, it is not a choice. But see, again, at the same time, uh, is it required for the planet of Earth to progress forward? Yes. See what, again, I will go back to the same thing. And I have some examples also. So I was talking to one of the professors, this was last year, and we were talking about the not job market, but the choices of students where they go into. And when I share this, it actually really opened my eyes, and that will tell you what opportunities that we have in the market today. So in state of Gujarat, there are, I would say, about roughly about 40,000 engineering seats, and I could be wrong, few thousand here and there, but 35 to 40,000 seats. And every year there is about 30 or 32,000 or 33,000 eligible high school graduates who can apply for engineering. They come out of the high school, and out of those colleges, no, sorry, about 25,000. And out of all the engineering seats, I think about 40% or 50% are computer science. So what is happening is that everybody wants to be in computer science, and eventually there are cases, I know there are colleges where mechanical engineering, production engineering branches have closed. There are colleges where out of a batch capacity of 50, there are only 6 or 7 students for civil engineering. I know of colleges where there are half capacity or half of the total capacity of electrical engineers. Now, when you look at it, if there are no civil engineers coming at the end of 4 years, let's say out of entire state of Gujarat, out of 5,000 seats, only 1,000 civil engineers come in. How are you going to build those highways? How are you going to build those railway lines? How are you going to build those buildings? How are you going to build those plants? How are you going to build anything that you want to do? Right? So these things you will not realize today. You will realize after 10 years. And yes, there is glamour. But then when I look at service industry or IT industry or computer science or anything, we are all peripheral to the industry, meaning I can accelerate manufacturing process or transform manufacturing or help manufacturers produce more, but somebody has to manufacture, right? If you look at it, if there's this is no disrespect to computer science engineer or electronics engineer, but what I'm saying is what is required for an industry is required for an industry. Like if you need somebody to clean the boiler or fix the boiler, it has to be fixed. The boiler has to be fixed. The engine has to be fixed. I can do all testing, designing, everything with the help of technology, but the engine has to run and it has to be maintained. And how do you do that if you do not have sufficient number of mechanical engineers at the end of 4 years or after 10 years, right? So you look at the disparity that is getting created, and which we may not realize today. And I'm just talking about the state of Gujarat. It's possible that other states may have different numbers and it may offset the gap that is being created. But what I'm trying to say is that we also have to look at that, are we creating enough skills for us to sustain the same manufacturing? Or what would happen is, like would happen is with other economies, that in North America or in the US, you have demands of certain skilled workers, technology workers, because there was not enough population of, or the inflow of technology workers a few years ago. So a lot of students from India and Europe and China would come here, study, and then go to those jobs, right? Similarly, if you need mechanical engineers, and if you don't have in your country, you will have to have from somewhere else. So look at that, how the economy is changing, and do we have enough supply to for supply of talent to sustain those industries? Forget about advancing that industry, but sustain. Now, when you look at breakthroughs in manufacturing, right? How do breakthroughs happen? How do you come up with new technologies? Is somebody has to research on those technologies, and that research will be done by somebody who has done bachelor of engineering, masters of engineering, or research in something in mechanical engineering, right? They will come up with, like the IITs of the world will work on certain projects, certain fundamentals, and come up with new design, come up with new principles, come up with new rules, that okay, this is how thermodynamics can work, and this is how there could be a fundamental shift in terms of how you manufacture certain things. But that has to be done by the engineers that are getting into the engineering colleges today. And do we know that there are sufficient number of engineers going there and then selecting that as a career for that industry to thrive? No. If you look at me, I have done production engineering, but today I have some adjacency to that, but I am not into that industry, right? So again, when I go back to the example I give, that people are still going into civil engineering, mechanical, electrical, but what are they choosing as a career path at the end of 4 years is also important. One is studying that. First of all, if you are not studying, then you are turning the tap off there. Then the second opportunity is, after you come out of the college, whether you are choosing that as a career or you are chasing something different as a career. So there are enough opportunities, but are we glamorized by what we call as an opportunity is something that we all have to ask questions to ourselves. That's how I would say.
Extremely comprehensive answer. Thank you very much, sir. So, Sanu, we can continue with the conversation.
Yeah, thank you, Deb. Back to the conversation. Now, I would like to shift the focus to the current buzz around the world, which is artificial intelligence, of course. Technologies continue to reshape industries worldwide. So, considering the ongoing advancements, how has the adoption of AI impacted the landscape of manufacturing?
So AI, when we say it is changing and it's going to change. But like I said, there are a few things that we see immediate impact is in terms of safety. That lot of things that we could do, which could only be intrusive, which could only be destructive, could be done through AI or generative AI. And I can give some examples. Like there are so many things happening. If I look at farming, so there are technologies that are happening where the AI can look at the weather pattern and see that the seeding is at the right time, or what kind of watering has to be done. So there is no manual intervention needed. Somebody does not have to go and turn on the faucet or keep looking at the sky or farmer's almanac to see whether I have to water it today or not. That technology is available at an industrial scale, also at a consumer scale. Like, if you have sprinklers in the house, or if you have irrigation system. Earlier, what used to happen was there would be a rain sensor, and the rain sensor would go back, because what would happen is, the rain sensor will become wet, or it will sense the humidity, and then it will stop the sprinkler from running on that day. But that could be faulty, because there could be moisture in the air, or there could be rain or false positives, and sprinkler would run where it is not supposed to run, or it would not run the day it's supposed to run. But with the AI, where it is checking the local weather instead of relying on the physical probe of the rain sensor, it will look at it and see that whether you have to water what time you have to water, because rain sensor will not tell you what time you have to water. It will only say whether it's wet or humid or not. But weather pattern will also tell you, because today, like, the weather.com, AccuWeather, or other companies, they will tell you exactly at what time the rain is starting, stopping, how much was the rainfall. All that will go back to your sprinkler system, as well as your commercial, industrial, farm grade equipments, and tell you that, today you have to water X cubic liter or whatever the unit is, versus what was yesterday. If it suddenly becomes hot, and it is very, very important where the weather changes are very extreme. Today it could be raining, tomorrow it could be very dry, and so on. The another example I can think of is in terms of automated driving. And when we say automatic driving, testing is very important, because if you don't test it, the real use case is the driver or the passenger who are in the car. And I've seen some of those testings, at how there are cameras that are captured to track the motion, and how they're simulated, and they will check a person who is walking through on the road, crossing the road, how that person is identified, how the person versus a vehicle versus a pet who are identified, the height, the weight, the speed at which you are moving. And those things are actually helping the development of the automated features faster. So those are some of the things. If you look at any industry in manufacturing, it is helping. Even in terms of chemical industry, where they are, what happens is, you have like companies that make ingredients that go into shampoos or body washes or fragrances, and there are so many things that happens in terms of what could be their impact on the human skin or human olfactory system, and how those molecules will interact with your human body. And the testing that it would take a long time, because you have to go through certain iterations using AI and also quantum computing. You are crunching that cycle because the processing has become faster. The synthetic data is giving you a wider population to test on, in term simulation to test on, and it is shortening the cycle. So like every other field, AI is transforming manufacturing also tremendously, and it's just getting started. It's going to go big. So that what is happening is that you can crunch the product launch cycles. You can help engineers focus on what their core strength is, versus of worrying about all the other external factors.
Wonderful. I mean, from the multiple examples that you just gave, it really sounds like a very exciting things happening in the manufacturing field with the help of AI. Mr. Trivedi, you started your studies with production engineering, and then you moved on to various domains in TCS itself. Now you are in manufacturing. So you are clearly committed to continuous learning. So how do you stay informed and relevant about the latest advancements that is happening, irrespective of your busy schedule, and also with the rapid evolution that is happening in the space? So what advice would you like to give to our young audience on fostering a mindset of continuous learning?
So I would say two things. One is I read a lot, um, fiction, non-fiction, all, and I generally I really like to learn things. So I read across diverse topics. So one is, I would say, just keep reading whatever is your niche. You don't have to be just all non-fiction, but try to get in as many things as you do. In fact, I would also say that, by reading some of the fictions, also it gives me a different perspective, because you can read a lot of character development, and see how people could think differently. A lot of bite-sized learning, I would say. When I can look on the phone, and if I read something on news, and if I don't understand something, I try to read up on the related topics. So it will not be like more than 10 minutes, but try to just see at the point. So I am not a big proponent of making plans or setting aside 1 hour of reading or 1 hour of learning. No, I will try to learn as and when the opportunity comes in. The other thing I also do is I like learning languages. So a few years ago, I was learning some languages in classrooms through TCS, and now with Duolingo and other things, I do like a 15-20 minutes every day, and it gives me a very different thing to learn on. But what it does is, like, people who go to gym, they have a they do leg exercises one day and the arms and the back and all that. Similarly, you have to exercise all the parts of your brains, so frontal lobe and temporal lobe and all those things. So you have to, and I've heard, I don't know because I don't know what goes in my mind, but when you learn languages or other things or do logical exercises or creative exercises, it fires neurons in different areas of brains, and it kinds of gives a neural exercise, so to speak. So I try to do different things. And on the work wise, I am not shy of getting into things and doing things myself, whether it's anything. It could be an Excel sheet doing modeling, or it could be creating presentation or writing something or anything that comes. But getting into things and doing things keeps the tools sharp. So I would say it's just getting into details, and it helps me learn more, and then helps me make fundamentals better. Like for example, if I'm interacting with somebody in HR or marketing, and I'll ask questions that why this way, why that way. So it helps me learn fundamentals. Once you have fundamentals, then you can build on it. But see how I can learn different areas to have a well-rounded understanding of anything that I do. So I think those couple of things, I would say, not any structured approach, but those things that have worked for me so far.
Okay, I'm really curious to know your bookshelf, your current reading list, maybe later offline.
Sure.
Yeah, and the bite-sized learning, yes, a takeaway for me as well. Okay, that's great to know. And with this hectic schedule, I'm wondering how you get time to do all these things, especially language learning. Wonderful. It's really inspiring to know your learning techniques. Okay. So thank you so much, Mr. Trivedi. In the last half an hour, you have given us a lot of ideas, tips, advices. But before leaving, would you like to give one last general advice for our freshers that will help them prepare effectively for the next big step in the professional space?
Well, just one thing, don't wait for things to happen, make things happen. And there is nothing not glamorous. So whatever you do, just do it with full gusto, and things will fall in place. That's the only thing. I'm not a big on advices, but I would say just put your best foot forward and just love what you are asked to do.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your valuable insights and experience with us today. We truly appreciate your time and expertise in enlightening us on various topics. Thanks a lot for accepting our invite and taking time out of your schedule to spend time with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sana. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, so thank you very much, sir. We have loads and loads of questions here, but in the interest of the time, we might not be able to take all the question. So I have one final question for you. So we are getting a lot of questions regarding joining manufacturing domain from different backgrounds. So I'll club all the questions again and make it a single question. How easy or difficult is it to get into manufacturing from a domain, from a educational background which is not related? For example, someone who has come from an English or history background and someone has come from an engineering background, what kind of differences it might make?
So, like in manufacturing industry or any industry, one is that you have the core industry um, jobs. Like when I say manufacturing, it will be shop floor or plant manager. But then for other, the company also has, let's say, accountant, have purchase officer, have HR, and there are so many different areas within manufacturing itself where there could be job opportunities. Like if the sector is growing, you will have demand in all the areas, right? For example, if somebody is going to buy material or the components that go into manufacturing the item that you are manufacturing, there are people who write codes, there are people who will develop manuals. So there are opportunities across all the different areas in manufacturing. It may not be just manufacturing things, but also surrounding ecosystem in a plant or in a company that is there. They will have HR, they will have purchase, they will have marketing, they will have all the things where not only engineers, but students from any discipline and every discipline will have an opportunity.
Okay, great. Thank you. That answers my question. And thank you, Mr. Singhal, and thank you, Mr. Trivedi, for your kind participation in our event. Now, I would like to move on to the vote of thanks. Our program head for Youth Employment Program, Ms. Srishti Gupta, will be presenting the vote of thanks. Over to you, Srishti.
Thank you so much, Dave. Wow, what a session. Thank you so much on the behalf of all TCS Employment Program. I would really like to thank our esteemed guests Anupam and Gurudatt for taking out time from their busy schedule. I know this is results week for TCS and how busy you are, but you took out time and joined this movement of ours wherein we are trying to support and we are trying to ensure that our youth who are still in college, they know what are the career paths for them after they complete their graduation. My dear students, as Anupam mentioned, India is moving towards being the third largest economy in the world, and manufacturing sector would be the greatest contributor to this. With a lot of companies like electronics and chip manufacturing ones, automobile and steel industries are setting up their plans. This industry will have huge openings for all of you in various roles. I hope this session has raised awareness and has also given you a direction to prepare for your transition from college to careers. I would like to reiterate most important key takeaways. As Anu mentioned, that we had numerous takeaways, but the key ones that I would like to reiterate is number one, with the advent of AI, a lot of exciting opportunities are there in the manufacturing industry. All the intrusive and unsafe kind of tasks, as Gurudat mentioned, can be can be taken care by intelligent machines. So keep watching out for this space, keep learning, keep enhancing your skill set to make sure that you are aware and you are able to find out what is your calling, what is your interest, what is your passion, and go along with that. Second key takeaway is that learning agility, as Gurudat also mentioned, and Anupam also mentioned in the beginning, that willingness to adapt to any kind of transition or any kind of career path. Also, you should show that agility and willingness, because then only you will be able to explore and you will be able to find out what is your liking and where you want to grow. And third thing is like be open to new locations, new assignments, and keep an open mind towards everything, because this is a learning journey, right? It's not the destination which is important. As we say, it's a journey and it's a lifelong marathon, if I can say, and not a sprint that you're doing with your career. And finally, don't wait for the opportunity, rather focus on creating opportunities around you. So thanks again, Anupam and Gurudat. It has been really inspiring and educational experience for all our attendees. Thanks a lot, Sanu, for all the engaging conversation and ensuring that we are able to get most out of our stalwarts in TCS. Thanks again, Dave, for taking out and consolidating all the questions together from all the attendees. That has helped in ensuring that we have been able to cover most of their queries. Um, my sincere thanks and appreciation to all the teachers, professors, and YP champions, including volunteers and the trainers who have joined the session. And as they are the coaches and mentors who will take the learning forward even after this session. As you know, this particular session recording will be available to all the YP trainees in the portal. So all of you can log into the portal and then you can access the recording of this session to recap whatever you have learned today. Thank you so much, dear students, for joining and being so inquisitive. This session was curated especially for you, and it aims to make a contribution in building a brighter future for you. Last but not the least, my sincere thanks to all the CSR team for their splendid work, and looking forward to meeting you all in more such sessions and to transform the younger generation that we have, who are the future of India. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Srishti. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Sanu.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Good night.
Good night. Bye.